Happy with a win. Obviously the defense carried us most of the game. Tremendous effort by them and our defensive staff to hold their offense to basically under 200 yards. If you take out the 56-yard run, I think it was, that we gave up on special teams on the fake punt, and to hold them to 7 points was a tremendous job offense. We've got to get better in terms of our consistency, and we're not good enough. Certainly, probably won't be good enough the entire season to overcome, first and 15, second and 25, whatever it is. Some of these self-inflicted wounds that are occurring on offense. We're good enough to be good when we stay on schedule, but when we're off schedule, we're not good enough, especially when the offensive line situation is where it's at, and when we have, we've got to allow those young guys that are in there right now some time to grow. So pleased with the win, but understand that we've got to play more consistently on offense for us to achieve the things that we want to achieve.
Coach, you move up in the rankings. Is this something where you talk to the team about where they are, or you have to kind of make sure that they're not paying attention to it? How do you see
it? We addressed it last week when we first appeared, and I told you guys, we talked about the human element creeping in, and it's really easy to gravitate towards praise, and that the champions, the really successful people in life, they seek criticism, they seek to be critiqued by experts, and we've got an expert coaching staff that's going to coach them really, really hard. And again, somebody's going to have to do a good job explaining to me why we even have rankings at this point in the season, especially with the format being the way that it is, with a committee now at the end of the season basically doing all the work for us. So we understand. I think there's no issue with our team. We understand that being ranked after the 6th week really has nothing to do with any of our goals that we have put in front of us. None of those goals, if you were to ask our players, included, hey, let's be ranked after the 6th week of the season. That just isn't one of our goals.
Coach, you mentioned earlier about the defense not allowing 200 yards total in the game. How much better moving forward, how much better can you see this?
Well, we got to get better in the red zone. We're, I think now, 3 straight weeks where we've allowed, I think, 100% touchdowns in the red zone. We got to do a better job when teams get in the red zone of forcing them into field goal attempts, and we're not doing that right now. And at some point, that's going to come back to bite us, and maybe be the difference between winning and losing a football game. So that's the biggest area that I see as the head coach from a broad perspective that we've got to get better at. When our backs are against the wall, we've got to bow up and hold them to a field goal attempt. And we understand. Teams are going to get in the red zone, but we need to make sure that those trips into the red zone result in attempts at 3 points and not for sure 7 points. And they know that, and they're working hard at it, and I've got a lot of confidence that they'll get better at it.
Tom, can you talk a little bit about, I know you're asked about Greg Ward a lot, this development he's had.
He's earned it.
He has earned it. Talk about where he was when you got here to now, and how he has bought into your system, and obviously it's paying off with the numbers he's putting up right now.
Yeah, through no fault of his own. Greg was a wide receiver his freshman year, and then was a wide receiver through half the season last year, and then was thrust obviously into having to play quarterback during the season last year. And that's really, the season is not time to develop your skills at quarterback. And so what he was able to do last year is really remarkable in and of itself. The fact that he was able to go out and win some games without really any practice or development at the position. And so I think he took to heart what we were preaching to him since we got here in January, that the really elite quarterbacks in this great game are ultra competitive, which he is, but they're maybe the best preparers of anybody in any walk of life, and that's something that he has taken to. It's taken some teaching and coaching from Coach Applewhite on how to do that, on how to prepare like an elite level quarterback on a daily and weekly basis. But again, I've used the phrase he's just scratching the surface right now, because he still can make tremendous strides there, but he's getting better each and every week in terms of that championship level preparation.
Tom, along those lines with Greg, last week Kenneth Farrow said that one of the biggest things that he's seen is Greg's improvement, his decision making, is the preparation, a big part of that, and how he's seen his growth and development in terms of making decisions during games.
Yeah, I think the only way that you can, I mean, it's amazing if you stand behind those guys, even at practice, and having coached that position for a long time. I never played it, obviously Major played it at the highest of levels, but you stand back there and you realize what the human brain has to process in about 2.3 seconds, and then translate that into some kind of physical movement. Not to get too scientific, but it's amazing. I mean, it really is amazing what a quarterback is asked to do, in the span of 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds, and the only way that you can make very good, educated decisions is if you've prepared for that, if you've not only repped that situation physically, but repped it mentally 1,000 times throughout the week's preparation, whether it be in film study, testing yourself, Coach Applewhite testing him, so on and so forth. So in order, the two go hand in hand. You can't make better decisions on the field if you're not training a lot better, and he's training and preparing a lot better than I think he ever has.
Coach, if you can, talk about how the offensive line has improved from week to week. Now that when the running game wants to get going, it can.
Yeah, I don't, sometimes I don't even know who's out there playing offensive line. We've gotten to that point, and so we have made tremendous strides, getting to the point where we feel like this is who we are. We're a run, play, action team, and then obviously with some of the changes, a bunch of those guys going down in the SMU game really caused us to have to shake some of the lineups up and play some younger guys and accelerate their growth and learning. But I have no doubt that even now with the new offensive lineman in there, that we'll continue to then rebuild that culture of downhill running and play action pass.
Tom, along those lines, because of the importance of that unit, you've been around a team or seen a team that's got 2 redshirt freshman stars, 2 true freshman backups, and is still kind of where you guys are offensively?
What do the kids do? La 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 la. I can't hear what you're saying. I don't even want to think about it. I mean, yeah. For other than quarterback, offensive line is by far the hardest position to play as a youngster, and that's why you see so many of them redshirted, and they just need the time for the physical growth and mental growth, and it's a very mentally and physically taxing position. So no, the answer is no. I've never been around a team that's been forced to play so many young guys at that position, and then still feel like we've got a chance to be pretty decent on offense.
Is it common this time of year? I think you guys put out a deal that you're going to tryouts. Is that a reflection of this, or?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I turned you down last week. I don't know if that.
Yeah. Well, there's still time. We still got part of the season, but where I think a lot of the problems that you find when you start getting depleted at the offensive line, the walk-on trials for offensive and defensive line is certainly not for guys to come in and then be a starter in a couple weeks. It's because we've had to move guys now from the scout team over to the second team offensive line. So now you look down there and the defense is practicing against a bunch, kids that have never played offensive line before in their life, just going in there to try to give them a look, and where you really see the suffering because of how much emphasis we place on how we practice and how we prepare. I'm worried that the defense will ultimately suffer with this, loss of offensive linemen, because now the scout team offensive line is, a bunch of walk-on linebackers and defensive ends playing scout team offensive line, which does no good in terms of getting your defense any better.
Coach, what do you think about the development of Marcus Ayers, both as a return man and a receiver this year?
Well, the receiver first, he has committed himself to getting better at his craft. I think his first couple years, he was just kind of an athlete out there, just running around trying to make plays, and he has become an excellent route runner, excellent at kind of dissecting coverages and understanding where different windows and zone coverages are going to be, and different leverages of man coverage and how to attack and exploit those. And then in his return ability, I think the biggest thing is we kept people off of him. The first few weeks we were letting guys run down, and he was being forced to fair catch damn near every punt. And we did a much better job of holding guys up on the line of scrimmage, which allows him to then not have to fair catch, make one guy miss, which God and genetics play more of a part in that than anything that we've taught him. And then you make the first guy miss, and now the guys in front of him are doing a good job blocking, and hopefully that trend will continue.
Tom, in the Tulane game, Greg had a couple of running touchdowns from inside the 10. I mean, just kind of made it look easy getting around to the edge. Obviously, he's got some ability, but who else deserves some of the credit to allowing him to essentially go in untouched?
Well, I think, on those plays, really the tackles, whether it be left or right, and Cooper and Paris, and then McCluskey and then Farrow kind of leading the way for him, and then the receivers too. I mean, those are long blocks to hold out there when you're running a play, a sweep play on the perimeter. Those are long blocks to hold without getting called for holding, and they've done an excellent job embracing their role. The receivers have of being physical and aggressive out there, and then obviously Farrow and McCluskey and the tackles do a really nice job getting the play started.
Tom, you're now halfway through your first regular season. Well, it's not a time for self-reflection, but have you learned anything about yourself and as a first-time head coach?
Probably a few things I'd rather not share, but I think I've done a good job of trusting our staff. I think very intimately involved in the weekly preparation of the offense, but I try not to get too involved on game day because we hired Major Applewhite and the offensive staff for a reason, and to allow them to do their job. And in between series, I'll certainly be on a headset and in discussion with them in terms of adjustments, and maybe add a few, hey, let's get the ball to Marcus, or hey, we gotta take a shot down the field, or hey, we gotta run the ball a little bit here. Our defense is tired. We gotta keep them off the field for a little bit. So things like that, but that adjustment has come a little bit easier than maybe I thought it would. The adjustment to not coaching my own position has been harder. I miss the intimate relationships with the position players that you have, having coached a position for however many years it was, 17, 18 years, however many years I've coached. You develop those just unbelievable bonds with your position players, and it's James Casey's in the building today, former player of mine at Rice, and I continue to have great relationships with the quarterbacks at Ohio State and even at Iowa State. And Chase Clement and myself, we talk quite a bit. And even all the way back to Texas State and Barrett Neely. You know, I've invested some money in a company that he's trying to get off the ground, and so those relationships and being somewhat removed from those day-to-day intimate relationships have been hard for me to adjust to, and it's no fault of anyone's. It's just the nature of the position that I'm in, and hopefully it's more of a first-year thing where now in year 2 maybe I can devote a little bit more time now that maybe some of the culture and program stuff is kind of in place, that I can spend a little bit more time developing some of these relationships.
And I know other coaches that you've been around have their own teams to worry about by now, that you pick up the phone and, you know, maybe on a bye week or something, that they had some free time and try to pick the brain if you had a question, or it kind of be stay to yourself and your team right now?
No, yeah, I mean, it's more along the lines of, hey, good luck, you guys are doing well, or sorry about the loss, or whatever the case may be. I did speak to Coach Bailiff at length, because it had been a while prior to the SMU game. It had been a while since I'd been a part of a Saturday, Thursday turnaround to play on Thursday, so I wanted to get his input on the week's preparation there, going from a Saturday to Thursday game. Myself and Coach Meyer probably talk every couple of weeks, certainly a text message every week, but on the phone, you know, once every couple of weeks. But it's more just, hey, how's the wife, how's the kids, you know, rather than X's and O's or anything that has to do with, you know, solving the world's problems.
Coach, can you talk a little bit about the personality of the team, and can you see them handling the success that they have kind of in stride and just take it next step at a time, or do you even?
Yeah, I think we're built that way. I think the culture around here has been ingrained, and we've got a bunch of senior leaders, older leaders that I think understand that, you know, they only give you your senior year once, and they want to make sure that they're not remembered as the team that, oh yeah, by the way, they won their first 6 games and then X, Y, and Z happened and they went to the so-and-so bowl. They want to be remembered as champions, and I think they understand that in order to do that, you've got to block all the noise out and all the praise out. And you know, our culture is built that way. You know, we were up, I don't even remember the score, 35-7 or 42-7 against Texas State at halftime. And we went in and at halftime, and you know, I think my quote to them was, you know, if you're expecting a pat on the back, you're in the wrong program. We'll handle the pats on the back after the season. But during the season, it's all about improving and getting better and preparing to win a championship.
You mentioned culture, and you said it's ingrained. Do you feel like that's what you've wanted to implement has pretty much been implemented culture-wise? Are you close to it?
Yeah, I think each week we get closer. I think there is, you know, there are 18 to 22-year-old kids that, as our head strength coach, Chancey McKnight, says they're going to test the perimeter every now and again to make sure that electric fence is still on, and it's always on around here. There's no days off. There's no reps off. But every now and again they'll test it just to see if we're still standing guard, and we are. And so, but those tests have become fewer and farther between as we get later and later into the season.
Coach, you're facing a team that has won a game this season. What do you tell your team this week to keep them focused and not take anyone lightly? I know they wouldn't, but when they look at record and they haven't won a game, what do you tell your team?
Yeah, I don't know. And maybe I am naive to the fact. I'm not sure they know what Central Florida's record is. I hope they don't. I hope they know, and we talked about it on Sunday, that this is a team that we know they're 2 years removed from winning the Fiesta Bowl last I checked, and they've done an excellent job recruiting throughout the years. They've got an excellent staff, an excellent head coach, so I don't know why they're 0-7. That's not for me to figure out, but what I do know is they also went into Philadelphia and had the lead against one of, if not the best teams in our conference, 16-14 with 10 minutes to go in the fourth quarter at Temple's home stadium. So hopefully that film and that result will get their attention, and the fact that you know, throughout the years we understand what kind of talent level Central Florida is going to have.
I lost my train of thought.
That's all right, bro.
Pass the ball.
Good?
Oh, I know.
Oh, wait!
Yeah.
Yep, it's like my wife. Are we done here? We're done? We're done? We're done? Oh, one more thing.
Tom, what was that first meeting like in Columbus with Todd Orlando? Any impressions? And you kind of remember a coach when you go into meetings and they have their style. What's he like in his meeting room?
Well, the first meeting I had with him was, I think, you know, we had the CEO of Harley Davidson come speak to our team one time at Ohio State, and he told our team that he knows within the first, you know, 2 to 3 minutes of an interview process whether he's going to hire a guy, and I think that's true. You know, the minute he walked in and we just started talking football, not necessarily X's and O's, but just overall grand philosophy of what a defensive outfit should look like and be like, it was right on point with what I wanted. And then we talked very little X's and O's. I mean, he drew a couple defenses on the board, and I gave him the thumbs up, and it was more just about how he goes about teaching, how he goes about being a mentor, a father figure to his players, the relationships that he develops. Because at the end of the day, again, we use the phrase all the time that, you know, there's a million people out there, Joseph, that can teach cover two and odd defense, and you know, and on the offensive side of the ball, there's a million people that can teach inside zone and can draw on the board nice and pretty. And but that's not what makes you a great coach. What makes you a great coach is how well do you develop your players and how hard do your players play for you. And so I think that was the biggest thing that I wanted to take out of that meeting with him, and because what he had put on tape as far as X's and O's and his resume at Utah State kind of spoke for itself, and I wanted to make sure what kind of man and what kind of mentor that we were going to be hiring, and in my opinion, we hit a home run.
The Harley reference would seem appropriate. I've seen pictures of him where he's got this black leather jacket. I don't know if you've seen him in that. Or
Who, Coach Orlando?
Yeah.
Has a black leather jacket?
I mean, I've seen photos where, you know, he's kind of...
Will you send those to me? Please? That would be awesome. I haven't seen him. That would be fantastic.
Kind of like a biker look.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen his head? He's got a bigger head than you. I mean, the thing is gigantic.
A lot of knowledge.
Yeah, yes, a lot of brain in there. Good. Thank you.